The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
What is up, party people? Anthony Hartwig with you. This is a Thursday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com. As always, brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. As I always do, I'll put them in that top right corner so you can know exactly where to go. If you are in the market for a new or used vehicle, head over to Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you, and we try to do the same here on this show every day. And we thank them for their constant support and sponsorship of Running Point and YSN. Everything that we do on YSN couldn't be done without our wonderful sponsors. We thank them always, always, always for what they're able to do for us. Let's talk about yesterday. Let's recap yesterday like we always do to start off this show. And it was hit or miss, right? We had some teams that were able to dodge the raindrops, dodge the scattered storms, and get a game in, but we had a lot of cancellations as well. So kind of one of those days where you win some, you lose some. You get the games that you're able to play, and unfortunately, you can't play everything. So let's go into the scores from last night. My game was canceled, so I know we usually start where I was at, but instead let's just go into the scoreboard and see if we can't wrangle in some great recaps from yesterday's games. We'll start with Crestview softball and getting the win 16-3 over Campbell Memorial. Brooke Brubaker hit her first home run of the season in this win, 16-3 the final score. Crestview continues to roll inside the MVAC. That's 3 wins in a row inside the conference, dating back to Monday against Liberty, and all of them have been really dominant fashion. I haven't been able to see them live yet. I know they lost a lot of talent from last year. So far, not really phasing the Rebels too much. I was interested to see what Crestview would be able to do this year, not only because they lost the seniors they did who went on to play in college and really important seniors to this program, but also because Greg Eskra, stepped down as the head coach. So they were starting a new era of softball with a new head coach. I was really interested in what they would look like, how they would do, and the standard of excellence has not gone away from Crestview. Obviously, they continue to just dominate the MVAC, and they'll continue to do so as they go throughout the season. I'm excited to see them play live at some point this year. Salem baseball is on deck, and they got the win last night, 20-1 over Mineral Ridge. An absolutely dominating performance by Salem's pitching, and I said it yesterday with Scotty when we were kind of talking about Mineral Ridge. We were talking about Salem. I told Scotty, Salem can bring a really good pitching staff to the table, and they can shut down a really hot offense. Mineral Ridge was coming off a back-to-back game with double-digit runs. Their offense was feeling it. They were putting the ball, batting the ball really well. Salem comes in with a really good pitching staff and just quiets the bats completely. 1 run allowed, and obviously Salem's offense was up and running at a high clip last night as well. Let's go into the recap. We have this one on the website. You can go to ysnlive.com, see all of our game recaps and more on the website. Make sure you check that out. Our content team does a really good job of trying to get as many stories and games as possible up there on the network. Let's go into the Salem story and see who were the big contributors to the Salem's win, 20-1 over Middle Ridge. It started right off the jump, right? Salem scored 18 runs in the first 2 innings of the day. Their big bats, just to name a few of them, they had a lot of big bats. Obviously, you have to score 21s. Lance Bailey had a great day. He was 3 for 3. Cameron Kelm, 2 for 3 on the day. Bailey also was the winning pitcher. He went 5 innings, gave up 2 hits, 1 run, and struck out 5. Um, Sandy was the losing pitcher for Mineral Ridge. He one of the things I respect about his outing, and a lot of baseball coaches can respect it too, is you're not always going to have your best stuff. You're going to go out there. Sometimes you're just going to run into a good lineup that makes good swings on you. He still pitched the entire, he went and pitched the game, right? So he went and just did his job, and he ate some innings, and he really made life a little bit easier going forward for Mineral Ridge's coaching staff when you have to manage pitch count, manage your pitchers. A guy that can just go out there and kind of take his lumps a little bit and realize that he's not having a good day, but grind through it and eat the innings, eat the pitches that your team needs, because a team like Middle Ridge doesn't have a huge roster. They don't have, 7, 8 pitchers they can just kind of throw out if they need to. So being able to just kind of grind it out, go through it, take your lumps, eat the knuckle sandwich a little bit, and do that in the sense that it's for your team. It's for your team. It's the Middle Ridge staff can, manage the pitch count for the future. So I think, doing that is just a sign of really maturity, and to be able to go out there, and AJ's a great player. He's going to bounce back from this. Baseball is built to make you fail. We said that yesterday with Scotty. The sport is meant to see you fail, and even though that yesterday did not go the way he wanted, he's a great player. He'll bounce back from it. He'll have good days. He'll have good days ahead, and I think he was able to realize that. He went out, he pitched confidently every pitch, even though he was getting hit, and he saved his pitching staff and he saved his coaches from a lot of headaches going forward. Speaking of the future, Middle Ridge will be back in action on Wednesday as they play East Palestine. They'll have a couple of days to, obviously get back, and Salem back in action on Saturday. Almost at Sunday. Saturday as they play McDonald on Saturday for their next game. Next scored up is Beaver Local Softball losing to Harrison Central 9-0. The final score there, Huskies put on a show against the Beavers. Columbiana Softball was able to get the win 17-0 over Latonia. Mackenzie Gamble continues to just show everybody exactly what she's made of. She had a great day at the plate and also was part of a combined no-hitter for Columbiana. Their pitching staff did a good job handcuffing Latonia's offense. So Mackenzie Gamble is one of those players that I'm really excited to have back on the softball diamond. She had to miss last year. She comes back. Everyone kind of knew how good she was going to be based on what she did her freshman year. So she comes back her junior year, and a lot of people just, I think, immediately put high expectations on her, and that can be hard. You take a year off. You don't know how you're going to react to that. You don't know how much film's out on you, how much these teams are going to be able to make adjustments about, what you're able to do. And Mackenzie Gamble, so far, bravo, tip of the hat. You have absolutely exceeded expectations, and can't wait to see her live either. Columbiana is a team that I haven't gotten to see live quite yet this softball season. Harrison Central also beat Beaver Local on the baseball field last night, 21-4. The final score there. The Huskies sweep the Beavers in 2 games on the baseball diamond. Columbiana baseball beat Latonia 34-0. The final score for that one. And then the last score not the last score of the day, but one of the scores we want to stop and talk about for sure is Ursuline beating Mooney 8-4. Round 1 of the Holy War goes to the Irish. There was no weather that was going to stop this rivalry. I mean, I said it in the story for this game. Storms were in the air, but there's nothing like the atmosphere of a good rivalry, and that was for sure this one. Ursuline, their big day was the bottom of the third. Tom Groner single and the score to run, and then a 5-run bottom of the fourth really played the difference for the Irish. Jack Erickson was able to double. Nick Bacco was able to score a run as well. Dylan Casey got a 2-run triple. Um, and then Luca Ricciuti, who we know really well. That's a name that you're going to be hearing. You've already heard on YSN quite a lot, and you're going to continue to hear it on YSN a long time. He was able to score with great base running to get into scoring position, and then scoring on a ground out, which is just instincts. When you're able to score on a ground ball put in play, it's great base running instincts, and he was able to show that off by scoring on the ground out to complete that 5-run bottom of the fourth that really gave Ursuline the win. On the bump for Ursuline was Andrew Carilla. He allowed no hits, struck out 7, and 1 run given up over the 5 2/3 that he pitched. So he had a great start and really pitched well for the Irish. Mooney tried to come back, but it fell a little bit short. Ursuline has a few days off before they go back in action on Monday as they hit the road and they will play Chardon. That'll be a 4:30 start time in Chardon for Ursuline as they continue their season. And Ursuline has looked really good. I think no one's surprised by that. You come into this season with players like Andrew Carilla and Ricciuti and Erickson. I think those are names that you've heard a lot and are going to come into the baseball season and do a lot of good things. So we talked a lot on this show during the baseball season with our player profiles and even talking with Scotty about how success and past success can bring expectations on your shoulders and how much that can be kind of a pressure cooker to have to deal with the outside expectations that success can bring. And I think Ursuline is one of the teams that has really handled that really well, kept everything kind of internal and not let the outside opinions on what they should be doing or the outside expectations on what they should be doing affect what their mindset is. They have their own expectations. They know what Ursuline's standard is. They know what Paul Kemp expects out of that team, and that's all that matters to them. They don't really care about whether or not Johnny Schmo from the trail from Youngstown thinks about Ursuline softball. They care about what they're thinking about, what their expectations are, and although their high expectations might line up with some people's expectations, I think when you keep the mindset internal, like we're talking about, what you're able to do is really not be let down by a valley, a dip. Baseball again is designed to see you fail, and the Ursulines gonna have a game. They're gonna have an inning. They're gonna have a game. They're gonna have a week, maybe hopefully not a week for them, but they're gonna have a point in this season when things aren't going right. That's just baseball. You're gonna make errors. You're gonna strike out. You're gonna ground out. You're gonna have a pitching day where you're not hitting your spots. It's just gonna happen. It happens to everybody. So by not letting that outside expectation in and building up pressure, what Ursuline's able to do really well is to be able to not get into the valleys. I think if you let those outside expectations in, then it's a little bit easier to ride that roller coaster that we talk about, that we talked about with Scotty yesterday. Staying even is so hard when you're riding the roller coaster. And I think riding the roller coaster gets a lot easier to do when you're listening to the outside noise, whether it's good noise gassing you up or it's bad noise not gassing you up and really tearing you down. Either way, when you listen to it and you let it in, it's really easy to ride that roller coaster because for some reason it's human nature not to, how do I put this? Like if someone asks yourself, if someone asks most people, hey, gas yourself up for 4 minutes, talking up about yourself is really, really difficult. I think we're kind of built to see the the you know the real and um non-filtered aspects, non-filter image of ourselves when we're self-reflective. So it's a lot easier for us not to get really high on ourselves when we're talking about ourselves than it is for us to let those outside opinions in. They can be gassing us up and they can give us that fuel to get up to the peak of the roller coaster. But when you're just talking to yourself and you're only internal, I think it's a lot harder to get to the peak of that roller coaster and to be able to go whoop, whoop, obviously when you're really down and you're also letting that external noise in, you can get really down because that's all you're hearing. So keeping it out, I think it's really important for baseball teams. And I think Urslan, back to the full circle moment, back into the point. I think Urslan, so far this year, from what I see, doing a really good job of keeping everything in that inner circle. And I think Paul Kemp does a really good job of that as a coach in the times that we've been able to talk with him on this show this year. His preseason interview was done by Matt Morrison, and he talked a lot about the mental aspect of the game. And I think Matt even asked him about the expectations coming in and how much talent this team had and how much because of that talent, people expected good things. And I'm not saying that's wrong to have people want you to succeed and look at you and say, this team is good, they're talented, they should succeed. That's not a bad thing. When it becomes dangerous when you, as a team, let those opinions and those expectations and those outside noises um, kind of define your expectations and what you're doing. Um, you got to keep them at a distance. You got to keep them at arm's length. You got to keep them outside your inner circle as a team. And once again, I think Urslan doing a really, really good job of that as a baseball team this year. They seem focused. They seem really keyed in on what the expectations are in their own locker room, in their own dugout, and they don't seem to be listening to outside noise at all. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're going to see Urslan succeed at a very high clip this year. They're led by a great coach that does a good job preaching that, and they have great leaders that have been there, done that. They can succeed as well and not let the outside noises get to them with that success. So I think Urslan is in really, really good shape as a baseball team. And I think Mooney is too. I think this was a good baseball game. It could go the other way the next time these two teams play. Um, the Mooney and Urslan are both very good baseball teams. I think you saw that from the start of Urslan. Urslan got off to a quick start, but then you saw that from the comeback for Mooney. And when we're talking about comebacks and not being able to ride that roller coaster, Mooney did a good job of that too, because it's easy to give up a 5-run inning and let that really slip away. This could have been a run rule really, really quick for Urslan, but Mooney got back on the horse. They kind of, once they got Krilla out of the game, they were able to, get him out after 5 and a third. They were able to get to the bullpen a little bit, score a couple of runs, try to get some momentum. Obviously, they couldn't get all the way back. 8-4 is the final score, but they showed their ability to not be down when the chips are down, and those are really good signs of good baseball teams. I think Mooney's going to be fine, and I think Urslan is really, like I said, set up for a really impressive season. Can't wait to talk more about Urslan and Mooney with Steve Leslie, who saw that game live at Scene Park on the Sunday Diamond Roundup. Coming up really quick. I mean, it's Thursday here. We've had a lot of good baseball and softball, with the weather being a lot more cooperative this week than it was last week. Just that Wednesday storm that didn't even knock out all the games, but Monday and Tuesday were beautiful. Today is a little bit colder, but it looks like it's going to be dry, so we're going to get games in today. And then tomorrow, once again, it looks a little bit colder, but it should stay dry tomorrow as well. So we should get games in today and tomorrow, and then we have a full slate on Saturday as well. So we're going to have a lot to talk about on Sunday night after we get that Easter dinner inside of us. We can get up that Diamond Roundup on Sunday at 7 o'clock with Steve Leslie, Sam Torres, and myself. It's going to be a fun time to recap all of the week's action in baseball and softball. It gets you loaded, because one of the things, and this is just rant Anthony and the way my brain works. When we were talking about that show, one of the things that I thought was so important is I even struggle, and I'm the one putting the content up and getting all these scores. I struggle with kind of reflecting on a week on a Sunday of what happened over the week, because there is just so much. Even on that slow week last week, when we only had 2 or 3 days of baseball and softball, there was so much that happened. So many players that had good games. It was hard to just kind of condense it. So what that show is really designed to do is to just help you do that, help you kind of reflect on the week that was, and get caught up on everything before the new week starts. So first week of that show went really well, and I think we're going to develop it. We're going to get it even better as we go along. So we always do at YSN. We are not afraid to always get better and develop our shows. You look at this show, for example. I mean, Running Point has changed so much since it started. And we've constantly just had conversations about how to make it better, and we'll continue to do that. So, um, can't wait for the Diamond Roundup on Sunday at 7 as we talk more and more about baseball and softball throughout the week. What we have for you today, we have an interview for you today, like we try to do every single day. We're going to have you hear an interview from Gabby Gradishar from Champion Softball, having a great sophomore season after having to miss her freshman season due to injury. She has stepped in the circle. Coming into last year before she got hurt, she was hyped up. Like, this is one of the players that you kind of knew was coming into the season. Everyone in the softball community was telling you, can't wait to see Gabby Gradishar from Champion. She's going to really make some waves. And then we were all disappointed that the injury took her out of the season and we weren't able to see her play. And then obviously Champion dealt with more injuries. They were really hurt with the injury bug. And we saw some players step up and lead, but we saw some players that honestly weren't able to play, and then we weren't able to see them. And Gradishar got healthy in the offseason, came out. This is her first year now at the varsity level, and she's already thrown 2 no-hitters. So I think she's as advertised, and a great, well-spoken young lady. Can't wait for you all to hear an interview with her. That'll be coming up on the second half of the show. First, we're going to take a break, and we're going to say hi to all of our wonderful sponsors here on Running Point. So let's take a break. When we get back, we'll play an interview with Gabby Gradishar from Champion here on Running Point. Brought to you, as always, by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. We'll be back in a bit.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Your teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
Hi, I want to tell you about my Trish Yearwood home collection available at Sheely's Furniture. With 2 locations serving Ohio and Pennsylvania, Sheely's is one of the country's top sellers of my home collection. And the best part? At Sheely's, you never have to wait for a sale. They offer everyday low pricing as well as a price match guarantee, so you can shop the Trish Yearwood home collection with confidence. Come see my collection with something to offer for every room in your home and get it all with free local delivery, only at Sheely's Furniture.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com. Thank you, Trisha Yearwood. Man, never thought that I'd have her as a part of my show as a commercial, but thank you to all of our wonderful sponsors on YSN and on Running Point, able to let us bring you everything that we're able to do. Again, can't do it without our sponsors. Want to give a quick shout out if you are looking for a sponsorship opportunity on YSN and you want to be someone that gets their commercials out, their logos out, their name out there to all of our wonderful community and our audience. All you have to do is go to ysnlive.com, ysnlive.com/live/ I'm so used to saying /live for the shows /advertising. And if you do that, there's a form there you can fill out. There's also the breakdown of all the packages that we're able to offer you, and you fill out the form, email us at info@ysnlive.com. If you have any questions, we'd love to talk with you. We'd love to get you involved in the YSN family, and we'd love to to get you into the doorstep and have you advertise with what I think is the best value for your buck. I mean, we have, 68 teams and organizations that we cover, and a good 10, 15 games per night on a good weather day. And then 5 days a week. Do the math on how many games are on, and you get your logo rotating on every one of them. You get your commercial on every one of them, and not to mention our shows, daily shows every day except Saturday now, because we own Sunday night with the Diamond Roundup. So it is no better place to advertise than YSN if you're looking, especially for the advertising on a sports network. We're the only ones to do it. So with that being said, we are sponsored by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. They go the extra mile for you, and we try to do the same here on this show every day. And we thank them for their constant support of this show and being able to be one of our main sponsors and our presenting sponsors since the start of it back in the day. So we thank them for their constant support and sponsorship of this show. Couldn't do the things like we're about to do without them, which is an interview with Gabby Gradishar. We're going to play that for you, sophomore from Champion Softball. And here you go. Anthony Hartwig here with another Spring Sports Player Profile, Champion Softball. We're joined by Gabby Gradishar, the sophomore from Champion. Thank you so much for joining us today, Gabby.
Thank you for having me.
And I said at the top, and I've said a lot of people, like, you're a sophomore, but because of last year and the way it went and the injury, you're kind of a freshman as far as your varsity experience on this high school field. So that being said, what's it been like getting out there this year and being able to get your first taste of wearing that Champion jersey and to be able to be out there with your teammates and experience softball at this level?
It's an honor to be out on the field. I know last year I really was hoping to get out there with the team, but being out there this year has really helped me, and being with the team has been amazing.
How did you manage last year? Obviously, a lot of disappointment. You, like you said, you really wanted to be out there, but you also had to kind of be a leader, take in what you could, and try to be there for this team. What was it like last year trying to do all that with the disappointment of not being out there?
It was definitely difficult, but really being able to learn the other side of the game has helped me be as a player and just really connect with each player individually on the sidelines really helped.
That being said, I'm sure you had to work extra hard this offseason to get yourself ready for this season. What was it like preparing for the season in the summer and the travel ball and then the winter and the practices and the scrimmages? What was that like gearing up for this high school season and knowing that, you had to kind of use this as your freshman year kind of with your first experience?
Definitely more work than I thought, but it was definitely worth it. And just really the motivation to get back on the field has helped me get towards my goal.
Every time we talk to a Champion softball player, we ask them about this program and what it's like to be a part of it. Obviously, there's a lot of excitement when you're able to put on this Champion jersey with all the success the softball team has had. What was it like growing up with this softball program and being able to kind of dream about being a softball player at Champion?
Growing up, I just remember looking up to those girls who played and just wanting to be out on the field and play like they did. And coaching staff, Coach Weaver, Coach Carp, they're just amazing.
After all that and all that looking up to and all that anticipation, what was it like? Let's go back to your first game. You put that Champion jersey on and it's go time. What was going through your head?
I was just so excited. Couldn't wait to get on the field, and just really playing that first game really made me more excited for the season to come.
What a debut you had. You threw a no-hitter against Newton Falls. You've already thrown a second one. What has been working so well for you early in this season on the pitcher circle?
I think the connection between me and Addie, my catcher, we have played together since T-ball, and just really having that connection and the teammates behind me really pushing me has helped.
Yeah, we already talked to Addie, and she talked about how much she wanted to catch with you last year and how much she has built the relationship with you. How important is that to you to have that strong relationship with your catcher and to be able to really trust your backstop to have your back?
It's so important, just being out there, knowing that she's there for me and really helping me know what I got to do to win. And even the other games, she called her own pitches and she did a fantastic job.
And that's the other thing I want to ask about. What's it like to have a catcher that can call your pitches and know what you throw and kind of know what the other team is and know what the scouting report says about these hitters, and to have a catcher that's able to do that with you, it's got to build trust, right?
Yeah, it also helps because she can see more where the batter's at and where we need to throw and things like that. So it really helped.
From your perspective and seeing a lot of these hitters for the first time, what's it been like navigating some of these lineups, especially in these non-conference games that you're about to play, with a really good lineup, and you have to kind of go 1 through 9, focus in. What's that been like for you so far?
Definitely got to learn the batters as you go through the lineup, and then also having a great defense behind me has really helped.
Yeah, great defense behind you indeed, and great players on this team. I want to talk about also that first game. You went back to back to back on the offensive side. You were a part of 3 straight home runs with Addie and Isabella. What was that like being a part of back to back to back home runs?
It was crazy just knowing that feeling that, okay, I hit one and now the next girl hit one. Just so happy for my other teammates to see that they're also accomplishing their goals too.
Coach Weaver has you in that leadoff spot in the lineup. I mean, usually that's reserved for your slappers, your speed runners that are able to just put the ball down on the ground and run to first. You bring the power to the top of the lineup. What's that like setting the tone for this team right from the jump on the offensive side?
I know as my job as leadoff, I have to put the ball in play and start off the inning and also cheer on the girls and tell them what I'm seeing in the box and what they should be expecting too.
I know it's early in the season, but what are some of your favorite parts already of kind of being on this team and favorite memories that you already have with this team this year?
I'd say just the atmosphere of Coach Weaver, Coach Carp, and just the girls. We all have a nice connection and we all get together so well.
I do want to talk about being under Coach Weaver. Obviously, she's one of the softball legends in the area. She has enough state championships to fit on a hand. What's it like to be coached by her and to be navigated by her? What kind of things has she taught you?
It's definitely an honor. She teaches us almost everything, especially the little things. That's what she focuses on, but really helps us in our games.
When we brought her on, she talked about the emphasis that her and the staff put on the mental aspect of the game. What kind of things do you do to keep mentally focused and mentally strong during the long season of softball?
I really just talk myself through like each game, each practice, and really keep myself going with that next game, knowing that you can always do better.
Obviously, to get to the level where you're at, you've played a lot of softball in your life. You're busy, busy, busy with this sport. And to be that way, you have to love it. So, talk about the kind of the love story with softball, when you fell in love with it, and what kind of things made you fall in love with the sport.
Yeah, I've always really loved the sport, but really when I first got injured, knowing that I couldn't play my freshman year really hit me, and that's when I really fell in love with the sport.
It's kind of one of those things where you didn't know what you had until didn't have it anymore, right? Let's talk about you on off the field as well. Any superstitions that you have? We're always taught about the pitchers and how superstitious they can be. Well, do you have any that you bring to the field that routines that you like to stick to?
Um, Not necessarily for pitching, but I know for batting, I always just wear my left batting glove, and that's just always been my thing.
What kind, like everyone has their own batting routine. Do you have a batting routine? Your warm up, your batting routine at the plate.
I just talk myself through and tell myself that I can do this, and no matter what pitcher I'm facing, I can hit the ball, and that really helps me get through it.
One of the things that I want to ask you about is because of how good you are and how much expectations are put on you, because everyone hyped you up. You're coming into freshman year. Before you got hurt, everyone was talking about, hey, wait until you see this girl from Champion, she's really good. And then obviously this year, okay, now you really get to see her, she's really good. How do you handle these expectations and the things that kind of the success that you've had already bring with the table?
I really try to focus on what I think, how I did, and how I can improve rather than thinking of what others think and what have to say about me, but really just play for myself and for the team.
Obviously, once again, to be at the level you are, you have to be your own scout. You have to be able to scout yourself really good and coach yourself almost really good to watch pitching film and watch your pitching, watch your hitting, and kind of critique yourself. How much have you grown in that aspect? Being able to watch yourself and quickly pick out the things you have to work on.
I think the film and Game Changer has really helped being able to go back and watch the games. And it's really just helped me with the smallest things. Maybe it's just, oh, I'm dipping on a ball, or I needed to field this ball quicker, which has really helped me just fix that part of the game.
All right, you can attack the hitters in a lot of different ways. I've seen it live. What's your favorite pitch to throw? What's your go-to? You know, it's a 3-0 count. You need a strike. Where are you going?
My favorite pitch is the screwball.
And what's the one that kind of took you the longest to master? What's the pitch that you really had to work on to get to where it's at?
I'd say my curveball. I've had toughness with that, but now it's starting to get there.
Who are the people that you contribute to the pitches that you're able to throw? Who are some of the people that have helped coach you and coach the pitches that you have?
I'd say my pitching coach, Ed Beavers, and then my dad, who's also helped me, that's always there, sitting on the bucket, catching me, and then really just my teammates and my catcher, of course.
You know, one of the things that you hear a lot about in the softball community is the relationship between, you know, the dads and the dad coaches and the people that are able to sit and catch their daughters, you know, all the time. What's that like for you to be able to have your dad through this experience, to be able to have him sit on the bucket so much with you and to be able to catch you as much as he does?
It's amazing. Even through the tough times that maybe I'm not throwing well or I'm down on myself, he's always there to really pick me up and tell me, like, I got this. I'm still pretty good.
It's one of the things about this sport. There are going to be tough times. It's a sport of failure. How do you navigate the valleys of softball and the moments of failure that you do have?
Right. Everybody's going to make a mistake, and you just really got to move on from that and focus on the next play, because if you just think about the last one, you're going to mess up the next one.
All right, so you're a sophomore in high school, and I've been told by a lot of people, and I've experienced myself, that sophomore year can be one of the hardest years academically. What's it like going to, like, what's the school like? Or is it the hardest year you've had so far, or is it going pretty well so far for you?
I'd say it's a lot more work, but if you schedule around it, you'll just do fine.
What are some of your favorite subjects in school right now?
My favorite is math.
What is some of the ones that you have to work the hardest at, though? Like, maybe not your least favorite, but at least the hardest for you to get.
My hardest to get through are probably science and history.
Are you someone that likes group projects, or do you like to work by yourself more than group projects?
I like to work by myself. I like the independence of knowing that I need to get it done and do it myself, knowing it's good work.
What are some of the hardest assignments that you've had so far in your high school career?
I'd say definitely my reading projects. We've had a lot of those with multiple texts from ages ago, but those have been probably my difficultest.
Obviously, we've already talked about how much softball you do play, but you got to take some breaks every now and then. You got to be able to give yourself a mental break. When you need to get away, what kind of things do you like to do outside of the softball field to kind of turn your mind off a little bit?
I like to work out. I know that's kind of the same thing, but I like to be outside, just doing anything out there, sitting outside, doing stuff, just anything, not cooped up.
I think working out for stress relief and then working out for a goal like softball are different. So when you're kind of working out just to kind of get stuff out and to block it out and to get your mind right, what are some of your favorite circuits to do in that situation?
I like to do just a lot of anything, honestly, just really to get my mind off of it and play music while I'm working out, and it's just a fun time.
What's your workout playlist look like? What kind of jams get you going?
It's kind of all over the place. I really like country and then some rap occasionally.
What is there like? And I know you guys don't have walk-up songs in high school, but if you could have a walk-up song, like what would be your walk-up song?
I'd say "Crazy Train" by Ozzy Osbourne would probably be mine.
Do you think would your walk-up song be different than your walk-out song for your pitcher? Like if you're walking out in the circle, do you want a different song to hype you up when you're pitching?
Um, I think you could say the same.
When you think about all the things that you've done, and obviously the success comes with being a role model, what kind of advice do you give to the girls that want to be in your shoes? Maybe they're in champion, they're in the young champion, they want to be a champion player when they grow up. What kind of advice do you give them?
I'd say just put in the work. It's definitely hard, but if you put it in, it'll show eventually.
What's it like being a role model and knowing that as a varsity champion softball player, now you are in the role that you brought up earlier in this interview about people just looking up to you just because you're wearing that jersey?
I'd say it's definitely a role that you have to play smartly and really just play for yourself and show them what greatness can be and what you work for can show.
Who were some of the players in the past that you looked up to that wore that champion jersey?
I looked up to Allison Smith and Megan Turner a lot, Sophie Howe, a bunch of those players.
And when you say Allison Smith, one of the things that comes to mind is the fact that she took the time out to come to one of your camps this year and work with you guys and work with the youth of the Champion program. What was that like to see someone that has already graduated from Champion? She's got her own stuff, doing her own stuff in college at Ohio State, still taking the time to pour into this program and to try to take some time to make you guys better.
It really shows just how great of a program we have with people just taking their own time to help us and the younger generations to come.
A lot of people ask what makes champion softball able to succeed at the level it does consistently. From your perspective, you've been in it for 2 years now, and you definitely know Coach Weaver so well. What do you think it is about champion softball that makes it consistently good year in and year out?
I think it's our connection with the coach and the teammates. We all just gel very perfectly, and if we have a problem, we talk it out and move on. It just keeps working.
All right, last question before we let you go. You got a big win, or what's the go-to post-game meal?
Just honestly, I like to be humble and just be myself and celebrate with my teammates.
Where are you going to eat? What's the favorite post-game meal after a big win?
We normally go to this Mexican place right in Champion.
I heard that. So what's the Mexican order for you? What do you get?
I get the AP special, which is chicken and rice.
That is the dinner of champions for sure, pun intended. Before we let you go, I do want to give you the chance to give a shout out to your support system, all the people that are there for you, and will continue to be there for you throughout your career.
Yeah, I'd really like to thank my coaches, my family, and all my teammates. It really put my pressure on me to do better and to do the great I can.
All right, Gabby, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We loved hearing from you. We'll continue to watch you throughout this season. We wish you the best of luck, and we can't wait to talk to you again real soon.
Thank you.
That was Gabby Gradishar, the sophomore from Champion. She has already thrown 2 no-hitters this year, and she is definitely starting off her varsity career with a bang. And I've said it before, I think sophomore by class, but by experience on the varsity level, at least at Champion, a freshman. But I have to retract that a little bit. Well, caveat to that statement, because she has a lot of experience in the travel ball scene and the level of travel ball that she plays. Kind of gives you a second varsity season. So, first year as a high school athlete playing at Champion for sure in the first year, getting that kind of experience and what that brings to it, but not the first year of playing softball at the varsity level, I would say, because, like I said, her travel ball team and the level of softball they play, you could pretty much, substitute a varsity level softball for that. But she has been impressive. I've already had the chance to see her live. She said curveball and screwball, and that's definitely it. It defines her pitches. For those of you that don't know softball, curveballs go outside the right-handed hitters, and screwballs come in. She's a pitcher that loves to go in and out, in and out. Doesn't have a lot of elevation, won't hit you with a rise ball too often. She has it. She'll use it. She'll use her velocity, but that hard curveball going outside to right-handed hitters, and then she can hit you with a screwball that's just as fast coming back in. and that's tough to handle. And then obviously if you're a lefty, you're coming up to slap um, that screwball that comes in at you takes away the left-handed slap hitters love the outside of the plate, right? Because they want to hit it towards the 5-6 hole, and into the left side of the infield. Um, you can't do that when the pitch is screaming inside of you. So if a pitcher has a really good screwball like Gratishard does, and I think it's probably, from what I've seen, and I only saw her one game against Canfield, they did have a couple lefties in Canfield's lineup, and she did use that screwball. I think it's probably her best pitch, the screwball that goes um, inside to righties, outside to lefties, um, and then the curveball. I'm sorry, curveball is probably her best pitch going inside to lefties, because that hits you inside. And like I said, it takes away the left side of the field, which is where your left-handed slap hitters, especially your slap hitters, want to put that ball in play on the left side of the infield. And when you're able to really, really attack them inside, you take that away, and then you can come back out with that screwball, which goes out to lefties, inside to righties. You can come back with that, and then if he develops a backdoor curve for the right-handed hitters to see where it's going to come inside, but it's going to start at you and come out into the inside corner. There are a couple of pitchers on the Ysn family, and a couple of pitchers that have graduated from the Ysn family that have a really good backdoor curve. The one that I saw that I think is the best that we've seen on Ysn was Bree Kohler for South Range. She, in her last season as a senior, had a really nasty curveball that would come and almost look like it's going to hit you as a right-handed hitter and then just break into the inside of the plate and catch that corner for a strike. It was deadly when she had it on, that's for sure. So Gratishar is a really good pitcher. She brings velocity, and like I said, it's kind of her de facto freshman season after missing her freshman year last year. I'm always impressed at how young players are able to come into that program at champion softball and impact it immediately. It's got to be a lot of pressure. I mean, a lot of players that we've interviewed have kind of shrugged it off and said that they don't feel it. They just they're inspired by the people that have come behind them, and they have the right answers. But I imagine that whether they want to admit it to themselves or not, I mean, coming into that champion softball program as a freshman it's got to be a high pressure situation because there's so many expectations. I think the theme of this show is expectations. There's so many expectations for that champion softball program because of the fact that you look in their trophy case and they've won 6 state championships and they've been to 9 of them, and to see that level of success and to be able to try to live up to it has got to be tough. It's almost the same as when we talked to West Branch basketball players on the girls' side, and we talked to Coach Walter Shields on how he manages the expectations when he has new players come into that program and look up in the banners and see state runners up and trips to state and all the league championships and all the regional championships and the one state championship that West Branch was able to put up in the banner. You take that and you crank it to 11 because champion takes that one state championship that West Branch has won in a couple of appearances, and they say we've won 6 and we've been to 9 and we have 3 in a row in 2017, 18, and 19. That a lot of people thought that without COVID would have been 4 in a row with those seniors coming back in 2020. So we have the standard of excellence at champion, and to come in and like this feeling of I don't want to be the one to ruin that, right? Like that's what I would struggle with a lot. Like I do not want to be the class to not live up to champion standards. That's something that would really, really get to me, I think. But it hasn't got to any of the young players that we've seen come through while champion has been a part of the Ysn family. We signed them back in 2020, which was frustrating for me as a softball fan because the COVID-19 robbed us of being able to cover those players at champion, which really just that grinded my gears so much because I was so excited when we signed champion for that reason. They won 3 state championships in a row. I knew they were coming in for a 4th probably with the way they play. And the fact that COVID-19 took that away, that was rough. But in the last couple of years, we've seen a lot of young players come into this program and to be able to play really well, despite those pressures that I'm talking about, despite those expectations. Like I said, the theme of this show, you don't know it beforehand, and I don't plan this, but the theme of this show just happens to be expectations and how you deal with them, how you deal with success, because that's as important in baseball and softball as dealing with failure is. I know a lot of people talk in this sport. It's a game of failure. You have to be able to handle adversity and handle failure, and you do. But you also have to be able to handle success, and you have to be able to handle the expectations that come with success. And I think talking to Gabby is one of the things we brought up. A lot of people hyped her up coming into her career. She's a really good pitcher. People had expected her to step on the scene and do big things. She got hurt, didn't play. This year, even more hype. The anticipation builds up. This pitcher, you got to see her from champion. What's she going to do? There's a lot of expectations. She navigated it really well, and she has not let that kind of put any pressure on her. She goes out, she pitches loose, and she pitches really well for champions. So can't wait to continue to cover her throughout her career. And once again, thank her for her time to be able to do that interview. If you missed any part of it, don't worry. That will be posted on ysnlive.com as its own piece of content, and it'll also be posted on our YouTube page. If you're on our YouTube page watching that or any other video, I would encourage you, please, if you would be so kind and if you would feel so obliged to hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel so you're subscribed to it, and also hit that notification bell so you never miss a minute of the video content that we put on our YouTube page. We're updating it almost daily with player profiles, coaches' corners, post-game interviews, game highlights, and much more. And if you don't want to miss a minute of any of that action, you got to hit that notification bell, because the YouTube algorithm, it can be kind of wishy-washy, and you might miss stuff if you don't have that bell clicked and you're not notified every time we post a video. And you don't want to miss stuff that we do, right? You're a fan of YSN. You don't want to miss the things that we do. So please, if you would, if you feel so kind, if you feel so inspired to do so, hit that subscribe button while you're on our YouTube page, and hit that notification bell as well. Let's get into what the night is going to hold for us on YSN. We will start with what has been canceled. We always try to start you off with some bad news. There are some cancellations today due to field conditions. So here are the baseball games that are not happening tonight. Ashley Booth of St. John at Badger has been canceled tonight. Western Reserve was supposed to play Cheney at Cock Field. That has been canceled tonight as well. And then the other baseball game that has been canceled tonight is Champion at Canfield, canceled. So now we'll go back to the cancellations in the softball diamond. Lowville at Mineral Ridge is canceled tonight. Badger at Newton Falls has been canceled. Lordstown at Jackson Milton has been canceled tonight. Sharpsville at Poland has been canceled. And Springfield at Lisbon has been canceled tonight as well. So now we'll go back up to baseball, and we'll tell you the games that will be on the network tonight, who's announcing them, and going to be a night still full of baseball. We have 6 baseball games greenlit on the network. So here we go. Field will be at Struthers on Scene 3, 5 o'clock first pitch. Bob Zanny and the Struthers staff will have that covered for you. Garfield is coming down to Scene Park to play Louisville on Scene 1. 2 teams up in Portage County coming to our neck of the woods for that. Scene 1 will be at 5 o'clock, and on the call will be Eric Hughes. Lakeside will be at Austintown Fitch for on the baseball diamond tonight. Ty Bartell going to have you covered there for baseball at Fitch. Matthews goes to Howland, and that'll be Noah Ricks on the call for that. Painesville Harvey will be at Edgewood, and that will be Sam Torres on the call for that one. And then Cardinal Mooney at Springfield on Scene 2 at 5 o'clock. Matt Marr will be on the call with Jordan. So those are the baseball games that will be on the network. ysnlive.com/live is where you can find them. Now we'll finish out baseball, and we'll tell you the games that are also happening with YSN family teams. 4:30 start time in Jefferson as the Falcons welcome in Conneaut. We'll have Chalker at Wyndham tonight. That is still happening 5 o'clock. The rest of these will be 5 o'clock start times. Harrison Central will be at I saw the H&C. Heartland Christian will be at East Palestine tonight at Next Level Sports Complex. 5 o'clock is your first pitch there. Jackson Milton will be at Brookfield tonight. 5 o'clock first pitch. And then Lordstown at LeBray tonight. 5 o'clock first pitch there. And then last but not least, Mogador and West Branch have picked up a game. They will be playing at West Branch at 5 o'clock. Here are some softball games that are happening. Unfortunately, through the cancellations, no softball on the network tonight. But Matthews will be playing at Howland. That'll be on the football field at Howland. They're going to be playing on the turf on the football field at Howland for Matthews and Howland. Edgewood will be at Grand Valley tonight at 4:30. Also a 4:30 start time. Ursuline has been moved to Champion. This game was originally scheduled to be at YSU, and then it moved to McCoon Park, and now it's moved to Champion. So 4:30 at Champion, Ursuline versus Champion. JV will be right after that for fans that are interested in the JV matchup of that. Bristol will be at LeBray tonight, 5 o'clock. First pitch will be there. Latonia will be at Wellsville, 5 o'clock. Let's see. Southeast is still going to Garrettsville Garfield at 5 o'clock as of now. Struthers will be at Lakeside tonight, 5 o'clock first pitch. And then Western Reserve is still going to East Palestine. That'll be at Next Level Sports Complex as well. Our ace photographer, Gary Leininger, will be at both East Palestine games tonight at Next Level. So be sure to check out our Smug Mug later on in the evening for pictures to purchase from East Palestine, Heartland Christian Baseball, and Western Reserve and East Palestine Softball. Gary's doing a wonderful job, and he'll get out there and get both those teams covered for you tonight. That'll do it for this show. I want to remind everybody there will be no show tomorrow. I will be out in a game. I'm going to be doing West Branch at Dover softball at 12 o'clock. So instead of Running Point, you'll be able to tune into some softball tomorrow afternoon. No show tomorrow. We'll be back on Monday. I have 2 games tomorrow, actually. Dover at West Branch at noon, and then I'll be making the trip up to Louisville for their evening game at 5 o'clock as they welcome in Massillon Jackson. So 2 games tomorrow on tap for me, and then I'm doing 3 softball games on Saturday. So although no softball tonight, you're going to have 5 games from me in the next 2 days to make up for it. So that should be fun. I'll be back on Monday with a lot of great content and a lot of great interviews for you as always. But thank you so much always tuning in to Running Point. We thank the audience for doing it. We've gotten a lot of viewership in the last 2 weeks. So I want to take the time to thank everyone for taking the time to tune in and listen in and to continue to enjoy what we're putting out, what I'm putting out on this show. Once again, I'll be back on Monday from 1 to 2. We'll have softball on the network in the afternoon tomorrow in lieu of this show. Softball from West Branch tomorrow at noon. Dover versus West Branch. Don't miss a minute of it. We'll be back on Monday from 1 to 2.